Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's wonderful evening with Dr. Murali Bharadwaz. Good to see Shravan, Archana, Mathi, Meravat, Srinu, Samir, Sham, Vidyasadar, Ankit, and many more. Ankit, how are you today? And is my voice audible?
Yes, sir. I am fine, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes. So it is storming, lightning in Hyderabad outside. So sometime in the middle of the session, if I happen to lose the power, then apologize me. But I hope it doesn't happen like that. So let's make the great beginning. Today we will discuss, as I told you, every day evening, you have Dr. Murali Bharadwaz spending at least 1 hour, 6 to 7 p.m. और आपके साथ मिलके पढ़ाई करेंगे, 100 points revision करेंगे रोज. No video, no PowerPoint, nothing, only audio. Lend your ears, take an active participation, answer the questions and do revision along with me. And whatever be your level of preparation, please join the session. Why? Because I take up a topic, 15 to 20 points, I do a quick revision for you. After that, I will ask 2-3 points to know how is your attention and do revision along with me. That is how in 1 hour we revise about 100 to 120 points. And by doing so every day, I promise you that within 6 months, तलवार के तार के जैसे आप भी कड़क कड़क हो जाएगा, and that is the day we are all looking for. Very good to see Anita joining today evening. Very good, Anita. So let us make the great beginning. Anita, am I audible to you? Dr. Anita, am I audible to you? Okay, I hope I'm audible to everyone. So let's start with आज मेरा मन anesthesia के ऊपर है. There are about 20 drugs in anesthesia. Every entrance you go, there will be about 4 to 5 points in anesthesia. You have to be 100% sure. Now, with regard to halothane, what are the 10 points you should know? Number 1, halothane is non-irritant, non-expressive, and pleasant smelling. Halothane should be stored in amber-colored bottle containing thymol as a preservative. Halothane is an excellent anesthetic, but it is a poor analgesic. Poor analgesic. It doesn't relieve pain, but it will bring anesthesia. If you repeatedly use halothane, you get hepatitis. Halothane is one of those drugs that lead to malignant hyperthermia, very high temperature, raised CPK, etc. Malignant hyperthermia, halothane can cause, and you need to treat it by giving dantrolene. Tell me, what is the other important class of drugs that you know that can lead to malignant hyperthermia? Anybody? What is the other class of drugs that lead to malignant hyperthermia? Come on. Anybody? Shravan, Archana, Anita, Vidya, Meravat, anybody? Antipsychotics. Even typical antipsychotics are known to lead to malignant hyperthermia, is what you need to remember. Now tell me, what are the 2 drugs that lead to malignant hyperthermia that you know? I'm waiting for an answer.
Halothane and antipsychotics.
Very good, very good. Typical antipsychotics. Then halothane can lead to, after anesthesia, chills. It can lead to shivering. And whenever after anesthesia with halothane, chills and shivering are there, we use pethidine in order to treat. Halothane relaxes the uterus. That is the reason. What is the anesthetic agent of choice for internal version or a manual removal of the placenta? Halothane, because it relaxes the uterus. And another important thing is, if you use halothane in a pregnant woman, because of its uterine relaxing property, it can delay the labor. So that is the reason it is contraindicated. If the woman is in labor, don't use halothane. And another important thing, a woman in labor, if you happen to do the vaginal delivery, then there can be postpartum hemorrhage. And it can be very difficult to control the postpartum hemorrhage if you happen to use the halothane. If you happen to use halothane. Because a woman in labor, it is the uterine contractions which will constrict the vessels and prevents postpartum hemorrhage. But if you happen to use halothane, it relaxes the uterus, and that can lead to the development of postpartum hemorrhage. Halothane sensitizes the heart. That is the reason, because of its arrhythmic property, sensitizes the heart to the action of adrenaline. That is the reason it is contraindicated in the people who have pheochromocytoma, because halothane, if you give, heart become very sensitive to action of adrenaline. Pheochromocytoma is a condition with high adrenaline, and that is the reason adrenaline patients become heart become irritable and erythrias can occur. Halothane is a cardiodepressant. It can lead to hypotension, bradycardia, arrhythmias. You have to be careful. But halothane is a powerful bronchodilator. Because of that, what is the agent of choice in bronchial asthma? If that is the question in the tomorrow's exam, what is your answer? Halothane. Similarly, halothane and pediatrics. Halothane is an excellent agent for induction of anesthesia in children. That is what you need to remember. So these are the 10 points you need to have in your tips when you go to the tomorrow's NEET PG exam. So ether, the next anesthetist, which we are going to be very sure about. So basically you should know everything, anything, at least 10 to 12 points in your tips on number 1, nitrous oxide, number 2, halothane, number 3, enflurane, number 4, isoflurane, number 5, desflurane, number 6, sevoflurane, methoxyflurane, trichloroethylene, cyclopropane, chloroform, carbon dioxide, helium, xenon. These are the 9 agents into 10 points. That means 90 points aapke mutti mein rahega. All right. Now let's talk about the ether. Ether is very pungent. You know, doctor, the story of ether. Way back in 1970s, 1980s, ether is like a king of anesthetics. Even a simple MBBS doctor used to go to the village and do a delivery or a surgery and used to use ether. Very easy to administer. But it has a pungent smell. It is an irritant liquid. It leads to excessive secretions. It is highly inflammable. Anesthesia, if you happen to use the cautery, there is a chance of explosion. Ether is a very good analgesic. It's done like a Thai massage center. Like a Thai massage center. All body pains gone if you give ether. Ether is a very good analgesic. Ether is a very good muscle relaxant. But ether is very slow to cause induction of anesthesia. And you know, Goodell's 4 stages of anesthesia, they're all based upon the ether. Goodell's 4 stages of anesthesia. Ether, just like halothane, is also a good bronchodilator. That is the reason it is very safe in asthma. Ether is very cheap, very economical. And even in an unskilled hand also, like an MBBS doctor who did not do diploma or MD anesthesia, ether is still the safest agent. Ether can cause hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia. That is the reason it is contraindicated in diabetes. 10 points about ether. आपके मुट्ठी में रहेगा. I'm going to ask you questions. Be ready, right? आप कुछ भी नहीं पढ़ के आना है इस क्लास को. Don't read anything. Just to come with a blank mind. I will try to push around 100 to 120 points in the next 1 hour. And because we are with Vidyasagar, Shravan, Archana, Anita, Mati, Srinu, with all these wonderful people, we will remember it forever when we are answering the questions. All right. Now, the next is enflurane. Enflurane, it is also highly inflammable at high concentration. But one thing about enflurane, or for that matter, halothane, they are all not at all good analgesics, unlike ether. And enflurane is contraindicated in epilepsy. It can rise the intracranial tension. Enflurane can produce tonic-clonic seizures. That is the reason enflurane not good for epilepsy, not good for neurosurgery. It will raise intracranial tension and produce tonic-clonic seizures. Whereas there is an isomer of enflurane. What is that? Isoflurane. Isoflurane, enflurane, halothane, all of them, they are all not at all good analgesics. But what are the advantages of isoflurane? Isoflurane, unlike enflurane, it does not increase the intracranial tension. That is the reason for the neurosurgery, it is the agent of choice. Agent of choice. That is what you need to remember. Then, cardiac output, it is maintained very well with isoflurane. That is the reason isoflurane is the inhalational agent of choice even for cardiac surgery and also for neurosurgery. Right? Then, isoflurane produces maximum fall of BP. Even though cardiac output is maintained, it leads to a fall of BP, blood pressure. Therefore, sometimes when you are operating in a highly vascular area, you don't want bleeding. If you don't want bleeding, you should produce hypotension in the surgical field. So, maximum decrease of the blood pressure is caused by isoflurane. That is the reason. It is the inhalational agent of choice to produce controlled hypotension. So, 3 जगह पे isoflurane important है. एक, agent of choice for cardiac surgery, isoflurane. Agent of choice for neurosurgery, isoflurane. Agent of choice to produce hypotension, isoflurane. Don't forget, doctor, favorite MCQs in the exam. Isoflurane you can use in daycare surgery. Isoflurane is safe in pheochromocytoma. It does not sensitize the heart to catecholamines. Isoflurane can cause coronary steal phenomena. That is, ischemic areas become more ischemic, vascularized areas become more vascular. That is called coronary steal phenomena. Even though it is the agent of choice for cardiac surgery, isoflurane still can cause coronary steal phenomena is what you need to remember. Now, in this context, doctor, please don't forget, there are three anesthetic agents that can precipitate seizures: sevoflurane, enflurane, isoflurane. Sevoflurane, enflurane, isoflurane. These three lead to seizures. You can remember what is the spelling of seizure? S-E-I. S-E-I-Z-U-I-E. So you remember S-E-I lead to seizures. S for sevoflurane, E for enflurane, I for isoflurane. Maximum enflurane. That's the point you need to remember. Now, doctor, let me check how good is your recall and memory. Post-anesthetic chills and shivering. It is a problem with which agent? Come on, are you ready with the answers?
Halothane.
Very good. How do you treat post-anesthetic chills and shivering of halothane?
Pethidine.
Very good. What is the agent of choice for cardiac surgery?
Isoflurane.
Good. And which is the agent which is safest even in unskilled hand?
It's ether.
And which is the agent of choice for bronchial asthma?
Halothane.
Beautiful. And which is the agent used in daycare surgery?
Isoflurane.
Good. And which is considered to be safe in pheochromocytoma?
Isoflurane.
Isoflurane. Yes. And do you think halothane is good in children or bad in children?
Yes, excellent in pediatrics.
Correct. Excellent in children. And is halothane a good analgesic or a good anesthetic or both?
It's good anesthetic, but poor analysis.
Very good. Tell me three drugs that can lead to seizures.
Sevoflurane,
Good.
enflurane, isoflurane.
Excellent. Which agent can lead to coronary stent phenomena?
Isoflurane.
Very good. And which is the agent of choice in neurosurgery?
It's isoflurane.
Very good. And which is contraindicated in epilepsy?
It's called enflurane, isoflurane, sevoflurane.
Enflurane. Enflurane is contraindicated in? Yeah, that's right. Three things that can cause seizures are sevoflurane, enflurane, and isoflurane. Maximum is with enflurane. Very good. And which agent can lead to hyperglycemia and contraindicated in diabetic patients?
It's ether.
Very good. And which agent is the agent of choice for internal version of manual removal of placenta?
It's halothane.
Halothane.
Very good. Very good. And is ether induction is fast or slow?
It's very slow.
Slow. Very good. And which is considered to be safe in pheochromocytoma?
It's isoflurane.
Isoflurane, because it does not sensitize the heart to catecholamines. And good. So now you understood most of the things. Now let us quickly go to some other agents. I told you, totally 9 inhalational agents into 12 points. 100 points inhalational agents means only this much. 1 hour is enough for inhalation anesthesia revision, and totally not more than 8 hours is required for entire anesthesia. If you are reading more than 8 hours means you are not the smart student. You are not the smart student. You are not the student of Dr. Murali Bharadwaz. Okay? Because every day evening 6 o'clock, what is our slogan? Read less, score high. Read less, score high. कम पढ़ना है, ज्यादा कमाना है marks, top ranks मिलना है. and good time of our life we should spend in watching IPL match. We should spend a good time in dating and go around. Life is beautiful. It is not always reading rooms and libraries and all this stupid shit called the PG entrance exam, right? So that is the reason. But what is required? Focus. Totally 1,000 topics and around 30 points, not more than 20,000 to 30,000 points. एक मर्तबा मुरली भरद्वाज के साथ अगर आप रिवीजन करें तो दोस्तों के साथ एक ऑडियो चैट रूम में बैठ के जिंदगी में और कोई पढ़ने का भी जरूरत नहीं होना. That is the slogan. All right, doctor. Thanks for all of you for coming every day and making my life meaningful. Now, desflurane is the fastest inducing agent because it has a very minimum blood gas partition coefficient. The moment you desflurane enters into the, is being inhaled, it will jump into the blood, go to the brain and lead to the induction very fast. Most minimum blood gas partition coefficient, fastest induction. You should think of desflurane. Desflurane has a very high vapor pressure. Its boiling point is only 23 degrees. Therefore, it boils even at room temperature. That is the reason it requires a special vaporizer because of its boiling point being only 23 degrees. Just like water's boiling point is 100 degrees, desflurane's boiling point is only 23 degrees. Then desflurane is as good as isoflurane for all the cardiovascular effects, except coronary steal phenomena is seen in isoflurane but not desflurane. Even desflurane can be used in daycare surgery. And if you use desflurane, unfortunately, induction is very unpleasant. Coughing, breath holding, laryngospasm, all these things can occur with desflurane is what you need to remember. Then comes the sevoflurane. Yes for sevoflurane, yes for sishu. Sishu means little baby. If I ask you, what is the inhalational agent of choice for the induction of anesthesia in children? What is your answer, doctor? Sevoflurane. Sevoflurane is a good anesthetic, good muscle relaxing, but poor analgesic. Poor analgesic. With that, pain will not come down. And another thing, sevoflurane you can't use in a closed circuit because it produces a nephrotoxic metabolite called compound A. That is the reason it should not be used in closed circuit. That is another story about sevoflurane. Next, methoxyflurane. Even it should also be not used in closed circuit because it reacts with the rubber tubing of a closed circuit, methoxyflurane. But methoxyflurane, favorite MCQ, what is it in entrance? Two favorite questions. High output renal failure. High output renal failure. Why? Methoxyflurane of all the fluranes has the highest amount of fluoride content. That is the reason it leads to high output renal failure. That is methoxyflurane. Methoxyflurane has highest blood gas partition coefficient. That is the reason it is slowest in induction, slowest in recovery. Slowest in induction, slowest in recovery. That is the point you need to remember, methoxyflurane. But if I ask you a question about methoxyflurane, least minimum alveolar concentration, MAC value, which is the agent, methoxyflurane. That's the reason. The most potent inhalational agent kya hota hai? Methoxyflurane is the most potent inhalational agent is what you need to remember. So methoxyfurane is most potent inhalation agent, slowest induction, slowest recovery, highest blood gas partition coefficient, high output renal failure due to high fluoride content, not used in closed circuits because of the rubber tubing of the closed circuit. This is the things you need to mug up. Then comes trichloroethylene. इसका दूसरा नाम क्या है? Trialine. Trialine is the name given for trichloroethylene. इसका स्टोरी क्या है? The most potent analgesic of all anesthetics, Trialine. Similarly, Trialine also should not be used in closed circuit. Why? Because it reacts with the soda lime, Trialine, and it produces phosgene gas, which lead to acute respiratory distress syndrome. Similarly, Trialine produces dichloroacetylene, and that is neurotoxic to the 5th and 7th cranial nerves. That is the reason Trialine should not be used in closed circuit. Trialine, it can be used for analgesia whenever there is labor. Trialine can very much be used for analgesia, not used in closed circuit. Then comes cyclopropane. 3-4 points about it. Cyclopropane, highly inflammable, highly explosive. Common MCQ is, what is the color of the cylinder of cyclopropane? Cyclo O, propane O. So the color of cyclopropane cylinder is O for orange. O for orange. That's what you need to remember. Next, there is one reason cyclopropane is an inhalational agent of choice. What is that situation? If the patient is in hemorrhagic shock, cyclopropane increases the BP by increasing the sympathetic tone. And that is the reason it is the inhalational agent of choice in hemorrhagic shock. And it should be stopped slowly, cyclopropane. Because if you suddenly discontinue cyclopropane, suddenly patient will go into hypotension. It's called cyclopropane shock. That's what point you need to remember. Next comes chloroform. Chloroform is cardiotoxic agent, hepatotoxic drug, lead to profound hyperglycemia. It can lead to ventricular fibrillation. Dirty drug is chloroform. But once upon a time, chloroform used to be one of the initial agents. Then, carbon dioxide, what is the importance? 2 points. 5% CO2 is the gas you use to create pneumoperitoneum while you are doing laparoscopy. Some of you are going to become top laparoscopic surgeons, right? Then, what is the color of the carbon dioxide cylinder? Gray color, gray color. Next comes helium, helium. Helium is lighter than air. And what do we use? 80% helium, 20% oxygen. Typically, it is used whenever there is any tracheal obstruction. You use helium 80% and 20% oxygen. It is lighter than air. That's a point you need to remember. Then comes xenon. Xenon. Xenon को xenon क्यों बोलते हैं? Xenon होता है ग्रीक में stranger. Ajnabi is xenon. Xenon is the only noble gas which is used as an anesthetic under normobaric conditions. Normobaric conditions. If at all you want to say, I want an ideal anesthetic agent, right? The one that fits the definition of ideal anesthetic agent is xenon, right? So just like I want an ideal girlfriend, ideal husband. So it's very difficult to define ideal because nobody can be perfect in all the qualities which are expected, right? So there is never an ideal human being, right? But xenon is ideal anesthetic agent. Xenon is colorless, xenon is odorless, xenon has the lowest blood gas partition coefficient. This is a very rapid induction, rapid reversal. It causes muscle relaxation, it produces analgesia, and also it equally produces unconsciousness. It does not cause respiratory depression, it does not lead to cardiovascular effect, it is not metabolized in the body, it is rapidly eliminated via lungs, it is non-toxic, no allergy, it is stable on storage, no interaction with soda lime, it is non-inflammable. Oh my God. This is like the boy has 99 percentile score in USMLE. His father is a top plastic surgeon in America. He is having a Mercedes Benz car. He is a handsome hunk. Oh my God, so many qualities. Do we want to marry that boy? So xenon is like that. Xenon is most ideal agent. But the only thing is it is highly expensive. You can't use it in the routine usage, right? So that's the point. So these are the things that you want to basically remember. So quick summary, doctor. Maximum analgesic activity, trilene. Maximum muscle relaxant property, ether. All inhalation agents increase cerebral blood flow, maximum with halothane. They also increase the intracranial tension, but the problem is maximum with halothane and ether. 3 agents you should remember which are hepatotoxic are halothane, chloroform, methoxyfluorine. And 2 agents which are nephrotoxic you should remember are methoxyfluorine and sevoflurane. Now let me ask you questions. Are you all ready with the questions?
Yes.
Good. Which is the agent is safe in pheochromocytoma?
Isoflurane.
Agent of choice for neurosurgery.
Isoflurane.
Agent of choice for cardiac surgery.
Isoflurane.
Agent of choice for bronchial asthma.
Is halothane.
Agent of choice for intraversion.
Halothane.
Which are the 3 drugs contraindicated in epilepsy?
Is sevoflurane, enflurane, isoflurane.
Maximum?
Enflurane.
Correct. And which is the agent used in daycare surgery?
Isoflurane.
And
And
desflurane also.
okay.
Desflurane, right? And which agent is inflammable at room temperature? Boiling point close to room temperature.
The desflurane, sir?
Desflurane, very good. And highest boiling point is therefore methoxyfluorine. Okay. Now, what is the agent of choice for induction in children?
Sevoflurane.
Very good. And what is the color of the carbon dioxide cylinder?
Gray.
Very good. And what is the color of the cyclopropane cylinder?
Orange.
Beautiful. And which is the agent that can typically cause production of a nephrotoxic metabolite called compound A? If you use in closed circuit, compound A. Who learns ABCD? Who learns ABCD? Children. And what is the agent of choice?
Sevoflurane.
Right, you can remember that, right? Sevoflurane is शिशु पढ़ता है ABCD, इसलिए sevoflurane is the one which produces compound A if you use in closed circuit. Which agent is most potent analgesic? Most potent analgesic.
Trilene.
Very good. And which agent, if used in closed circuit, leads to phosgene gas leading to ARDS?
Trilene.
Very good, trilene. And which agent lead to dichloroacetylene causing injury to fifth and seventh cranial nerves?
Trilene.
Very good, trilene. And which is called most ideal anesthetic agent?
Xenon.
Xenon. Very good. And between which drug lead to high output renal failure because of the high content of fluoride?
It's methoxyfluorine.
Very good. And which has the highest blood gas partition coefficient?
Xenon.
Highest blood gas partition coefficient means slowest induction and recovery.
Methoxyfluorine.
Correct. Xenon is all good boy. All good boy. Nothing wrong about it. If xenon is there in the options, examiner is trying to ask you, please choose that. All right. Now, in tracheal obstruction, what is the mixture of gases and percentage you use?
Helium and oxygen. 80
Yeah.
and 20.
80% helium, 20% oxygen. Oxygen is what you need to remember. Then what is the inhalation agent of choice in hemorrhagic shock?
It's
Cyclopropylene.
Beautiful. Cyclopropane is what you need to remember. So that is all, everything, doctor. But before that, what are the three drugs which are hepatotoxic? Three drugs which are hepatotoxic? Come on.
Chloroform.
Very good. Chloroform, halothane, and methoxyfluorine. Okay. What are the two drugs which are nephrotoxic? Methoxyfluorine and sevoflurane. And maximum rise of the intracranial tension by
fluorine.
halothane and ether.
Okay.
And maximum muscle relaxant activity?
So maximum.
Maximum muscle relaxant activity is as good as going to a Thai massage center. Which is very easy to administer even in unskilled hand.
So ether.
Ether. How you will remember now? To run a massage parlor, the boys and girls in massage parlor who give massage, they are not highly educated, right? So even then we give our body for them to do the massage. So you don't need a lot of skill for running a Thai massage center. That's how you can remember. Unskilled also ether, maximum muscle relaxant also is ether. And maximum analgesic activity?
Ether.
Trichloroethylene. Okay, trimate 3 Hena 3, right? So that way triple effect to kill the pain, right? So some stupid way to remember, but until exam, right? So this is all about the inhalational agents and the 100 points that you have mastered today, doctor. So we will take a break today because we'll prepare for IPL knockoff match. Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed today's evening session. Please do come tomorrow once more at 6 o'clock. We are going to have a interactive discussion that should stimulate you. But after the session is over, please go back to the Incus Learning app and do the revision. Okay. Thank you and good night to all of you.
Thank you, sir.